Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. Carl Jung. Have you ever felt like there's something inside you silently working against your goals? Picture this. You make the decision to adopt a healthier lifestyle. You set objectives, adjust your eating habits, commit to regular workouts. Motivation is high at first, but just when it's time to act, a wave of hesitation, fatigue, or vague discomfort creeps in. Suddenly, you're postponing everything to next week, then again, and again. Without realizing it, you're stuck in a loop where your biggest obstacle might be your own mind. But why does this happen? How is it possible to desire something so strongly and yet fail to follow through? Renowned Swiss psychiatrist Carl Jung spent much of his life exploring these contradictions. He discovered that what we consciously want is often at odds with forces buried deep in our psyche. In this video, we'll take a journey through Jung's psychological insights to uncover why we often sabotage ourselves and, more importantly, how to break that cycle. What you discover here could completely reshape your inner relationship with yourself. The divided mind. When your plans become your enemy, you map out a better version of your life. You define your priorities, structure your routines, and outline exactly how to get there. You're ready, committed to starting the gym, cleaning up your diet, getting more rest. Initially, the drive feels unstoppable, but slowly, almost without notice, things begin to shift. The motivation fades, excuses surface. You begin postponing, and before long, you find yourself back where you started, frustrated, stuck, and wondering what went wrong. This is the quiet pattern of self-sabotage, a psychological trap that isn't always obvious, but deeply persistent. And it often reveals one key truth. The mind is not a single voice. Part of you may long for growth, while another part pulls in the opposite direction. These internal conflicts are not irrational. They come from hidden emotional experiences, lodged beyond awareness, yet capable of disrupting conscious effort. Carl Jung offers a lens to understand this tension. What you resist not only persists, but will grow in size. Carl Gustav Jung. Self-sabotage isn't laziness or weakness, it's miscommunication between parts of yourself. When resistance shows up, it's not simply an obstacle. It's a signal. There's something within you trying to express itself, something that was never fully acknowledged or resolved. And until you hear that voice, it will continue to manifest in ways that block your progress. Understanding the shadow, Jung's gateway to the unconscious. To uncover the roots of self-sabotaging behavior, we need to explore one of Carl Jung's most powerful psychological insights, the shadow. According to Jung, the shadow encompasses all the traits, emotions, and impulses that we've pushed out of our conscious identity because they didn't align with how we wanted or were allowed to see ourselves. These hidden elements don't vanish. Instead, they settle in the unconscious, quietly influencing our feelings, choices, and reactions. The shadow includes aspects like shame, insecurity, anger, envy, fear of failure, or even a deep hunger for approval. And they're often buried because at some point we were taught, directly or indirectly, that these parts were unacceptable. But ignoring them doesn't make them disappear. It gives them power. Carl Jung described this dynamic with precision. The shadow is a moral problem that challenges the whole ego personality, for no one can become conscious of the shadow without considerable moral effort. Carl Gustav Jung. And he also reminds us, knowing your own darkness is the best method for dealing with the darkness of other people. Carl Gustav Jung. The shadow is not evil. It's simply everything we're unwilling to face. And the longer it remains hidden, the more it operates beyond our control. By bringing awareness to it, we begin to reclaim the parts of ourselves that we once denied, and in doing so, start transforming internal chaos into conscious clarity. Autonomous fragments, when inner parts gain their own will. The aspects of ourselves that we suppress don't disappear, they split off and begin to function independently within the unconscious. Over time, these buried parts develop a kind of psychological autonomy. It's as if small personalities exist within us, each carrying unresolved emotions, unmet needs, and beliefs shaped by past experiences. Carl Jung called these internal formations complexes. They are emotional clusters tied to memories or traumas that continue to influence us from behind the scenes. When triggered, a complex can take control, bypassing our rational thinking and altering our behavior. As Jung observed, the unconscious is not just evil by nature, it is also the seat of the creative impulse. Carl Gustav Jung. In this way, these inner fragments are not necessarily harmful. They emerge from wounded or neglected parts of our psyche that never received proper attention or integration. Still, when left unexamined, they can undermine our conscious efforts and confuse our sense of direction. Jungian analyst Murray Stein reinforces this idea. A complex not made conscious will behave like a separate being, acting with its own will. Murray Stein. These fragments don't seek to destroy us, they seek to be seen. Until we acknowledge them, they will continue to assert their presence in subtle or disruptive ways. Self-sabotage is often not a flaw, but a message, a sign that something inside is fighting to come to light. The isolated man, a real-life case of silent sabotage. Imagine a man who's built his identity around the idea of independence. He dreams of a quiet life, far from society, running an online business surrounded by nature. His ideal is total self-reliance, freedom from expectations, people, and emotional demands. He believes that's what he truly wants. Opportunities begin to align. He grows an online following, builds a strong income stream, and even finds affordable land in a remote area. But something strange happens. He pulls back. He rejects the land offer with weak reasoning. He stops publishing content on his successful blog. He loses momentum, offering no real explanation, even to himself. What's going on? From the surface, it's baffling. He's sabotaging the exact life he said he wanted. But beneath that is a rejected emotional truth. He longs for connection. Somewhere in his past, intimacy may have led to pain. So, to stay safe, he exiled that need. It became part of his shadow. Now, this hidden part is acting out, resisting the very isolation his ego craves, not out of malice, but to protect him from deeper emotional harm. Jung once wrote, "The conscious mind is easily influenced by unconscious forces, which are often more insightful and truthful than our rational thoughts." Carl Gustav Jung. This man is not simply indecisive, he is at war with himself. His conscious self seeks solitude, but a silent voice within fears abandonment. As long as that voice remains unheard, he'll continue to unknowingly sabotage his goals, trapped in a loop where his own shadow pulls the strings. The way out: wholeness through integration. The solution isn't to battle the shadow, but to bring it into the light. Carl Jung emphasized that healing and growth come not from rejection, but from integration. You can't silence the parts of yourself that have been ignored. You must invite them to speak. Integration means acknowledging what was once disowned. It involves meeting the inner figures that live in your unconscious, not with fear, but with curiosity and compassion. These aren't enemies. They're fragments of your truth that were hidden because they were painful, inconvenient, or misunderstood. Jung described this process simply. Wholeness is not achieved by cutting off a portion of one's being, but by integration of the contraries. Carl Gustav Jung. When we stop fighting against our internal resistance and instead listen to it, we begin to understand its purpose. That understanding is what transforms us. The same shadow that once sabotaged you can become a powerful ally, once it's seen, heard, and integrated. Jung also reminded us the goal is not perfection, but wholeness. Carl Gustav Jung. That means embracing your full humanity, not just your strengths, but also your fears, your contradictions, and even your inner conflicts. To integrate the shadow is to reclaim power. It's the act of becoming fully yourself instead of a fractured version trying to silence discomfort. And in that integration, real freedom begins, breaking the cycle of self-sabotage. Ending the cycle of self-sabotage isn't about overpowering yourself. It's about reconciling with what's been hidden. True change starts when you stop treating inner resistance as an enemy and start viewing it as a message. The behaviors you call sabotage are often your psyche's way of alerting you to unresolved inner tension. Carl Jung captured this insight beautifully. He who looks outside dreams. He who looks inside awakens. Carl Gustav Jung. Looking inward means observing not just your goals, but the emotional undercurrents that run beneath them. Why do you hesitate? Why do you delay what matters? These aren't just habits, they're clues. Every cycle has a pattern. Every pattern has a cause. And when you follow the thread back to the root, you begin to make sense of why you feel stuck. Awareness is the first step toward transformation. Self-sabotage is rarely random. It's a signal that some part of you is asking to be understood. And the more you listen, the less power it holds. By bringing the unconscious into the light, you take back authorship of your life, one decision, one reflection at a time. If this message spoke to something deep within you, it's not by accident. There may be a part of you ready to be acknowledged, not judged, but understood. Carl Jung believed that genuine freedom begins the moment we stop avoiding ourselves. Do not become perfect, but whole. Carl Gustav Jung. Share this video with someone who's navigating a similar path. Let's grow together in this journey of inner awareness and healing. Subscribe, like, and leave a comment below if this resonated with your experience. Because once we choose to face what's within, everything outside begins to shift.